Going back to something you just said, I'm curious your opinion on this, having worked with so many different directors. Do you think it's important for a Star Wars feature film director to be a fan? Because I was also I believe I was watching or reading something with Ron Howard where he said he was approaching it more as like a casual fan. Like, do you think you need to know the ins and outs in order to direct one of these movies?
I don't think you need, working with Ron Howard on Solo was one of my favorite experiences ever working in film. The man is a consummate professional, totally understands that filmmaking is actually fun. What we do, we're working on movies. We're not, having to save lives or something. We're like working on films, and he understands we all have a life outside of the job, so he lets us we don't work a lot of overtime. And, the first time I met him, I'd met him a couple times socially, but the first time I met him professionally, we sat down and had this great meeting about what he wanted the movie to be. And he says he would give a lot of trust in the artist, saying, we'd get into his own, here's the story points I want to hit, and I'm trusting you guys to guide me that it's in the Star Wars pantheon, that it's going to, if there's something that I could do to tweak it to make it just right for Star Wars, I'm entrusting upon the story group and all these artists that are working with me to bring us there. And so they don't need to know every single planet and name of every single person, but there's a group of people, our Lucasfilm story group, and the artists that work on the films that are there to do that for him. And so, but you can have other fans that completely know it, like Dave Filoni that I work with is like he's been trained from George Lucas, and he's an Uber fan, so he knows everything. So that's a bonus. So it's just all you can do it any way you want, but Ron, super professional and one of my favorite experiences. And I think casual fan is a good way to say that. Yeah.
You guys have name dropped so many cool people, from Kathleen Kennedy to George Lucas to Dave Filoni as well. Is there anyone kind of on that tier of the Star Wars franchise that has ever given you a piece of advice about telling a Star Wars story that's really stuck with you?
Well, Filoni and George both were very much, they like to tie things into myth. They're very much into the Joseph Campbell Power of Myth and the story, the story of the hero's journey and all that. So when you can tie your story into something that's greater than that moment, they're very much into that. That's one of the big pieces of advice that I've been given. And when we try, even though I work in sound, it's still a very inclusive project, and I'm having to re-record a bunch of the actors, and you can come up, especially a lot of characters that have masks on, like stormtroopers, like Boba Fett, like Kylo Ren. You can change your dialogue to fit better later on in post-production. So there's a lot, Star Wars movies are made in post-production, a lot of it. The editorial process, the visual effects, the sound, the music, it's all done after the shooting. So it's all honing that film and to tell the story that the director wanted with sound and visual effects. So a lot of after you've shot, Yeah,
because it's almost just about the same amount of time.
Yeah, it's about a year's worth of post that you do on a movie.
Film, post. For me, I never realized at the time, being so young and not knowing what Star Wars was, when I became Boba Fett, I was getting taught by the man himself, the author, the creator, the one man, George Lucas. And although he didn't spend much time giving directions to the other adults, he spent a lot of time showing me and teaching me what he wanted me to see. Like, instead of being like, oh, hey, you're going to be flying a spaceship and there's going to be like these rocks coming at you, he's like, oh, so you're going to come back next week and we're going to fly through an asteroid and there's going to be these boulders that are going to come at you and there's going to be a Jedi chasing you and you guys are going to be flying after him. And can you do that? And I'm like, oh. You're like, how cool is this job, right? So now, being a grown man and having a kid of my own, I look back at those experiences in that time, not realizing that I had a one-on-one interaction, connection with this one man that, many people will never ever get now, especially in the Star Wars world, and I will forever be able to die and take every single direction and what he helped me to bring Boba Fett to life on stage.